Hey everyone, in today's video I want to answer a question that I received from a viewer during a recent live streaming session. The question is, does watercolor go bad? Does it expire? So I'm not sure if expire is the correct word, but if you do keep watercolor tube paints or pens for a long time, there are going to be some changes. I'm going to talk about some issues that I personally faced with some of the watercolor paint that I have kept for too long. So one issue that I have is sometimes there is this chemical reaction that goes on inside the tube that creates some sort of gas, and I have that issue with this color, transparent pearl orange from Daniel Smith. So the tube would appear to be very full, but as I open the cap, the paint sort of explodes and the gas releases and escapes, and there's this very smelly odor. This only happens to certain colors and it doesn't affect the quality of the paint, so it's not a big deal. One tip for you is the next time you see a tube that appears to be full but you know that it's actually not full, open the cap very slowly to let the gas release. Don't open it too fast or the gas and the paint would come gushing out. That is something that you do not want. Another issue with keeping paint for too long is sometimes the gum arabic would separate itself from the pigment. So with this particular color, cerulean blue chromium, you can see that the gum arabic has sort of separated from the blue pigment. What I do when I see the transparent gum arabic is I would take a tissue and sort of remove some of the gum arabic before I squeeze the paint out. And after I squeeze out the paint, I would actually sort of mix it again, sometimes with a pin. Not sure if you can see this clearly, but the gum arabic has clearly separated from the pigment. This also happens to specific colors. Another issue that I have is for paint that I squeeze out from the tube into pens like this over a long period of time. Sometimes you can see cracks like this, pretty deep cracks. This is transparent pearl orange from Daniel Smith. I'm not sure what color this is. It doesn't affect the quality of the color, but you have to be aware of cracks like this because sometimes mold can grow inside if you do not use the color for a long time or if your climate is very humid. Some pens would dry up and form a coating on the surface. This coating makes it difficult to re-wet the paint again, and when you use your brush on the surface, it may damage your brush and you cannot take out a lot of pigment, so the color, it would appear a bit washed out. I don't have a solution to this problem, so I can only recommend you to use the color often to prevent the pen from hardening. Earlier I showed you some tube paints that crack when dried. These are still alright, they are still easy to re-wet. There are also pens like this that crack. See here? Sometimes the pen will become hard and dry and crack into smaller pieces like this. This is on the verge of cracking. So when you have pens that crack like this, when you close the box and you put it in your bag, those little tiny bits and pieces, they would run around and contaminate other colors or make your box dirty. My suggestion is to once again use your paint more regularly, use these pens more regularly, or check back once in a while to see what's happening. There's another issue here. Some of the paint would actually shrink, but again, this doesn't affect the quality of the paint. It's just that it becomes smaller. There are a few colors of paint that hardens into a hard rock when you squeeze them out from a tube. One example would be Soda Light Genuine. The other example that I know of is Beryllium. So when you squeeze out the paint into a tube and let it dry, it becomes a hard rock and it becomes very difficult to re-wet. So for those colors, it's best to use them straight from the tube. Do not squeeze them out. How can you tell if a color or paint will harden into a rock? You can't tell just by looking at the labels. You have to do some research online. So paint hardening in a pen is a problem paint that never fully dries or paint that is runny is also a problem. So we have this color here that can never be dry. So when I close my box, I accidentally have my box placed like this vertically, and when I open it up again, I see the paint has run onto the surface here. This is still usable, so I'm going to keep this here, use it up before I clean up the mixing area. The last issue or problem that I have with watercolor is mold. If you have wet paint or if you live in a humid climate, you have your paint in a box like this, make sure to ventilate your box. You must open and ventilate your box properly to prevent mold from growing. Mold spores are everywhere. Some colors are more susceptible to attacks, some are not attacked. But even though you see that there are no mold here, but there is actually mold, it's just that for certain colors, the mold doesn't grow well on those colors. Again, I have this problem here. Mold attack can be an expensive problem. Sometimes you can clean away the mold, but sometimes you would have to throw away the paint. Best way to prevent this is to be careful and ventilate your box. So to answer your question, can watercolor expire? I don't think so, but can watercolor go bad? Yes, when it becomes too hard and unusable. It becomes bad when it's attacked by mold. It can no longer be used. It becomes bad. So take care of your paint. General advice to taking care of your paint is use them, and for colors that turn into a rock, use them from the tube. Do not squeeze them out. Before I end this video, let me tell you the palette boxes that I have here. This is the Winsor & Newton Deluxe Sketcher box filled with Daniel Smith colors. This is the Kisho Gansai box filled with some Memory Blue and Gansai Tambi colors. This is the Winsor & Newton Heavyweight Enamel Metal box. There are other companies and brands that make the same box. And this is the Kramer Pigments 14 Full Pan Color box. Alright, so that's all for my video today. Let me know in the comment section whether you have similar problems that I am facing here. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. I hope this video is helpful. See you in the next video. Bye!